Hello everybody, Dylan here today, and we are going to be reading a Crappypasta. Now today's Crappypasta caught my interest right when I read the title. It's a very short Crappypasta, but I believe we're going to get our money's worth out of it. It's entitled The Eerie Truth Behind Big the Cat. So yeah, with that title alone, it's already got me intrigued, because as you guys know, Big the Cat is one of my favorite characters of all time. So let's get right into reading this Crappypasta today on DHT. What I'm about to tell you is yours to believe or deny. I believe it to be true, and that Sega covered this up to avoid losing some employees as well as avoiding lawsuits. So with that disclaimer aside, I can already tell that this story is going to be total bullshit, because it starts off with a fucking disclaimer. It's like, oh yeah, I'm about to make some stuff up, but I believe it's true. I don't care if you do. Sega is lying and they're evil. So we're already off to a good start here. Big the Cat is not actually supposed to be in any Sonic game. Well, at least someone's willing to admit that Big the Cat was a mistake. Big was the nickname given to a programmer in Sonic Team working on the first Sonic adventure, and we've already started off with a bad cliche. I have a feeling that we're gonna get a Squidward suicide up in this story, which at the time was being planned for the Sega Saturn. Due to consistent teasing of his co-workers, he went insane, because yeah, that happens all the time, and becoming increasingly agitated, stressed, and depressed. Okay, all that's wonderful. This caused him to create a useless, pointless character named Big, which he coded into the game as a playable character and required to beat the game. He wove it into the source code, thus destroying the files if he were to be removed. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if you know how programming works, but programming is not like that. In order for Big to get into the file, he would have to give it to the person designing the character models. Then he would have to give it to the programmer to insert into the game. Now, if he is the programmer, there's no way he could design the concept for Big, design the levels for Big, design the gameplay for Big, design the character model, and put it in the game without anybody noticing. So, I'm already calling you out on some major bullshit, because you have no idea how a game is made. It's not just made by one person who's doing everything. It's made by several different people. Big wouldn't have gotten into the game if they didn't want him in there. After that, he committed suicide. Well, at least he realized how much of a big fucking mistake that he made, no pun intended, by bringing this monstrosity into the Sonic landscape. At least he killed himself. That's the advice I was given by a wise man, leaving the dev team with no other way of removing Big. Since then, Big has made cameo appearances in the Sonic series in very eerie ways, unexplainable ways. The team sought to appease the restless spirit by making Big a character in Heroes, and for a while it worked. Big wasn't in Sonic 06 or Sonic Riders. Well, to be honest, those games have enough problems on their hand without having Big the Cat thrown in there. So yeah, that's probably a blessing. But started appearing again in subsequent titles. Also, Froggy was a very minor character with a very small role. He's not even a character. You can call him a character, but he's just a frog. And therefore was much appreciated by Big, who changed the game to give Froggy more of a meaningful purpose in hopes of redemption for his premeditated suicide. You're trying to be fancy, but this is a fucking story about how Big the Cat was thought up by a programmer who wanted to commit suicide and give a big fuck you to Sega. Quit, get your big words out of this story, they're not needed. It is speculated that the programmer may have had a fondness for dissecting frogs to relieve his stress caused by his co-workers, as hundreds of dissected frogs were found in the area where he hung himself. Okay, I don't know if you know how corporations work, but there's cameras set up. Unless he killed the cameraman, there's no way he could be just sitting in there dissecting frogs all day while programming half the fucking game. And another thing is how did he get these frogs in? Did he shove them in his pants? Did he shove them up his butt? You just can't walk into a video game company with a box of frogs and be like, oh yeah, that's just the programmer. He's working on Big the Cat, the next epic Sega star. No, that's not how that works. Since then, dead frogs have shown up in and around Sega and Sonic Team offices in Japan. Every time a dead frog shows up at the offices during development of a Sonic game, Big eerily creeps into the game's environment or cutscenes. This has caused many developers to become unnerved and leave the company. No, they leave the company because it's going downhill and it's smart to leave while you still have a reputation. Sega dismisses this harmless prank invented by the dev team to scare people they dislike. However, the team has said otherwise, which was promptly pulled from the media by Sega. Now this was credited to Shiny Vaporon. So yeah, another fucking Pokemon name. There's a lot of problems with this story. One, there's some sick Japanese fuck who likes hanging himself and dissecting frogs while making pointless characters in video games. Two, no one noticed that he was doing this weird shit in a corporate video game office in Japan. Now, Japanese people are weird, but they're not that fucking weird. And three, Big the Cat is a joke character. After Sonic Adventure 1, Sega realized how much of a fucking joke he was, so they only pop him in every now and again to make fun of him. That's all he's ever existed for. It's not some ghost. It's not some spooky guy who haunts Sega. Big the Cat is just another fucking ridiculous character that Sega team came up with and have no idea what to do with him. So, instead of giving him his own game or giving him roles in games, they just shove him in whenever they want to get a laugh out of it. That's the real truth behind Big the Cat. So yeah, if I had to say, this Crappypasta is awful. It's too short, it rips off Squidward's suicide. It's not even graphic enough for me to go, oh my god, this was so ridiculous, I loved it. It has nothing going on. It's really boring and stupid. So yeah, that was the eerie truth behind Big the Cat. I would recommend you not to read this Crappypasta. You'd just be wasting 2 minutes of your time. You could be reading something more ridiculous, like Slender Man being from Mexico. So yeah, this has been Dylan from DHT, Games, Comics, Theories, and more. If you liked this video, you can like it. If you really liked it, you can share it. And if you really want to see more, you can subscribe. Link to the playlist will be in the description below, so you can go click on that. This has been Dylan. Bye.